One evening, two visiting diesels from the other railway surveyed the shed. "It's time, Patrick," said Diesel 199, "that we took this railway over." "Shush, 199, Patrick replied. He had been on the North West Railway before, and knew that the steam engines wouldn't take too kindly to that sort of attitude. "It's their railway, after all." "Not for long," 199 continued. "Our controller says the steam engines give us a bad image." "Of course we do," replied Henry angrily. "We show what frauds you are."
"Can't you sell engines?" James put in. "If something goes wrong, you care nothing for your trains. You just sit there and moan for a fitter. We bring him home, even if it is only on one cylinder."
"Nothing," boasted 199, "ever goes wrong with us. We," he continued, "are reliable." Vulgar noises greeted this pronouncement. "How rude," 199 said. "Well, you asked for it," Patrick replied. "Now shut up." The next day, Henry was returning home tender first. "I'm a failed engine," he mourned. "My regulator's jammed wide open. My driver says he can fix it, but I'll have to be cooled down first." "Oh well," he continued, "at least I've got steam, and driver can use my reverser." Henry came to a stop outside a signal box, where Diesel 199 was standing on the up line, with a long train of tank cars. Henry whistled to let the signalman know that he needed a clear track. "Worse and worse," Henry thought to himself. "Now old Reliable's going to laugh at me." The signalman came out, and a relieved look crossed his face as he caught sight of Henry. "Ah, Henry, I'm glad to see you," he said. "Please get this spam can out of the way. He's failed. The Limited is behind, and all he can do is wail for a fitter." "Spam can?" 199 retorted indignantly. "Pipe down," said the signalman, "or I'll take my tin opener to you." Henry couldn't help laughing. He backed down onto Diesel 199 and his train. "Come on, you," he said as he pulled the train forward to clear the points. The diesel didn't help at all, as Henry backed his train down onto a spare line. Once the track was clear, Patrick, who had been waiting down the line with the Limited, began moving. He was having trouble getting his train started. All engines have an air pump called an ejector, which serves to keep the air out of the train's brake lines and the brakes off. Patrick's ejector was failing. His train's brakes were already beginning to come on as he passed Henry. He managed to struggle on for a little longer, but eventually came to a halt, his brakes full on, unable to move. The signalman leant over the balcony to have a proper look. "Now what?" he asked, exasperated. He turned back to Henry a moment later. "It looks like Patrick's broken down too," he called. "You'll have to help with him as well."
"Moving two dead diesels and their trains?" Henry's driver said. "Are you sure you're up to it, Henry? I mean, you are a failed engine."
"Well, Patrick is a good sort," Henry replied, "and he did try to shut this spam can up last night." "I'll give it a good try," he finished determinedly. Henry slowly buffered up to the passenger train. While Henry's air hose was connected to that of the passenger train, his driver talked to Patrick's.
"It's all right, Henry. Patrick's only lost his ejector, which means we've just got to take the weight of spam can and his goods."
Henry gave two short toots on his whistle. "Ready when you are, Patrick," he called. And with that, the cavalcade set off.
"We won't have to keep this up too far, Henry," his driver called as the train began to move. "Donald and Gordon are waiting for us at Elsbridge Station." Both Henry and Patrick were relieved when they finally reached Elsbridge Station. Henry gently braked the train to a halt with the passenger cars next to the platform. The tanker cars trailed far behind. Patrick was uncoupled from the front of the train and headed for a nearby siding. Gordon took his place a moment later. Once Gordon had left with the Limited, Henry and Diesel 199 were uncoupled from the tank cars. Dragging Diesel 199 behind him, Henry came alongside where Donald was waiting. "That's a mighty fine effort you've put in there, Henry," Donald said. "Aye, you're a useful engine, no doubt about that," he finished as he puffed away to take the tanker trucks.
"Come on, spam can," Henry said. "Let's get you to the works." "I can take him from here, Henry," Patrick said, "as long as his ejector's still working." "It doesn't feel like it is," Henry replied. "And besides, I should probably go to the works anyway and get my regulator seen to." "Your regulator?" "Yes, it's jammed wide open." Patrick was flabbergasted. "Do you mean you're a failed engine?" he asked incredulously. "Well, it was an emergency," Henry replied. "Trains must get through after all." Patrick said no more as they headed off towards the works. He had a lot to think about.